Well, thank you, Leah. Firstly, welcome to Bendigo. I hope that you're all staying for the weekend to enjoy the numerous wonderful things to see and do in Bendigo. But I'm here today to talk to you about how EDUs can utilise local assets to assist small businesses and create strong, long sustainable small businesses. Now, when I talk about small businesses, I'm referring to intenders, so those wishing to start a business, micro businesses, those with up to 5-10 employees, and small businesses up to about 20 employees. And to do this, I'm going to talk to you about how half a dozen local regional centres are already doing this through Workspace Australia. So Workspace is a private non-profit organisation established in the late 90s. So we've been going over 17 years now. Totally self-funded from the licence fees that we generate, and we receive no government funding whatsoever. So what does Workspace do? Workspace runs incubator centres in, as I said, half a dozen economic development areas, and by doing this we have, in some centres we may have more than one incubator centre. Have a volunteer board of director, and you can see there's quite a few of them. They're made up of men and women from across central Victoria, each having different skill sets. They age from early 20s through to early 80s and pretty much everywhere in between, so that's a challenge in itself. We cover areas like business and property development, retail, hospitality, education, manufacturing, you name it, we pretty much cover it. We also reserve a spot on our board for each of the councils that we work with. Now, some councils choose not to take up that option, but what it means is that when Workspace is making decisions about small business, they're going to directly affect a particular council, then they're there to have their say and report back to their councils and EDU units on what exactly is happening. We have 4 staff. There's obviously myself. We have a business support officer who's like a glorified property manager. She looks after all our centres, all the maintenance, the upkeep, etc. We have an in-house business mentor and advisor. He's operated his own business for over 30 years and works with our businesses on a one-on-one basis. And we have an admin reception girl who is in her early 20s. Now, one of Workspace's rules is that you have to have either run or currently run your own business to be an employee. Now, the reason behind that is that we are out there working with small businesses. We need to know what they're going through, we need to know how difficult it is for them, we need to know what they're up against, and hopefully we can stop them falling in those huge potholes before it happens. So our incubator space. We have factories, offices and studios ranging from approximately 8 square metres up to 216 square metre factory space. We have a licence agreement, not a lease. So the main difference is with a lease, you sign a lease for 5 years, you're locked in for those 5 years. With our licence agreement, it is for 3 years, because after 3 years we think you should have got a good enough boost up the ladder and that you should be able to go on to buy, rent or build your own commercial space. But if sometime in that 3 years you decide you've found the perfect factory or office and you want to move out, you just give us 1 month's written notice and you move out. It's as simple as that. Our licence fees are based on about 80% of market value, and you're all asking, well, how can we do that and how can we be self-sufficient? The reason is that we get our properties for peppercorn rent. So in some instances we pay nothing, some we might pay $100, $200 a year. So what's in it for the owner of the building? They have a vacant building that's deteriorating, going to rack and ruin in some cases. So we take over, they give it to us for nothing basically, and we take over all maintenance and upkeep costs. So instead of having an asset that is sitting there depreciating, they now have an asset that is appreciating. We make improvements at our costs. For instance, one of our centres is the old hospital in Castlemaine. It's costing us recently, you know, a couple of $100,000 to upgrade the windows and do all the fascias and that. That's at our cost. At the end of the day, those businesses who own the buildings have an asset that they can use if ever the partnership is dissolved. During those 3 years, we provide free business advice and support, and that can be on anything. It can be on how to fill out a job card, how to do a BAS statement, how to do a business plan, absolutely anything. If it is technical advice, for example, legal advice, we will put them in contact with someone who can provide that sort of advice, but the general business support issues we will assist them with. So we have 10 centres across regional Victoria, and I will have to read this off the thing. We have 10 offices in Bendigo, 96 rooms in Castlemaine, 5 factories in Donald, 4 factories in Denali, 20 factories and an office in Eaglehawk, 12 factories and 2 offices in Gisborne, 5 offices in Inglewood, 4 offices in Kinglake, 4 offices in Maldon, and half a dozen offices in the Youth Innovation Centre here in Bendigo. We're busy beavers. As you can see, the size between our centres differs greatly. Some are very small, some, as you can see, Castlemaine is a 3-storey former hospital building. It's huge. That doesn't mean that any one of them are less significant than the others. The impact that each of these incubator centres has on a local economy can be quite significant. So how successful are we at helping businesses? Since inception, Workspace, as you would all know, 70% of small businesses fail within the first 3 years. Workspace has managed to just about turn that around, with 69% of the businesses that we work with go on to rent, buy or build their own commercial space. Of the rest, surprisingly, some people actually find that running their own business isn't what they thought it was going to be. That having to be responsible and getting up and working 60 hours a week instead of the normal 38 where they could go to work, come home and have no responsibility isn't for them. But in my opinion, they're not failures either. These are people who have had a go at their dream. We've given them an opportunity not to die wondering whether they would be successful at it. And in the process, they haven't lost their marriage and they haven't lost their home. So to me, that's a success as well, but for our statistics, obviously not. Okay, so if you're not part of an incubator space, does that mean that we don't want to know you? No, that's not the case. We offer a free business session for any business that walks in the door. This is different from each of the councils that we work with. In some areas, you just contact us, we'll come and meet you at a time and place convenient to you. In some centres, it's more of a formalised thing. For example, City of Greater Bendigo, if you are a small business and you contact the EDU there, then you will automatically be referred to us. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking that Brian's really lucky because he's got a budget where he can pay someone to do that work for him. What if I told you he doesn't pay us anything? So why would we do it? Workspace expertise lays in small business. The local EDU are providing us with a constant source of small businesses to work with, which is what we love, that's what we do, it's our forte. For the small business, they get specialised, one-on-one, tailored advice to their business. We all know that those micro businesses are hard work, but that's what we like doing. They have a great idea, they have a great skill set. Most of them don't know how to run a small business at all, and that's where we step in. From the Economic Development Unit's point of view, their finite resources can then be reallocated to other areas. So it's a win-win-win in this case for all 3 organisations. If after one, and it's usually one, but you know, if you need two, it's okay, we don't mind. But if you want to have ongoing support, we do offer what we call an associate membership, which is $550 a year, and you get unlimited business support and advice. You get access to our resources, information, you get links to local business networks. You get everything you get if you're part of the incubator, except for the physical space. We run small business workshops and seminars. Now this differs again from council to council. In several of the councils, Murrindindi Shire, City of Greater Bendigo again, we will run Small Business Victoria events. And it's a partnership between us and the councils. Does it cost any of us much? No. So when I run a business networking event or how to do a business plan event here in Bendigo, it costs City of Greater Bendigo the time it takes Pete to push his button to send my flyer to his database of businesses. It costs Workspace in that I put the City of Greater Bendigo's logo on my flyer and we recognise them as a supporter at each of the events. In other councils that we work with, such as Macedon Rangers, who run their own business networking events and seminars and do it really well, we have no intentions of competing against them. The roles are reversed there. They send me the flyer and then I send it to my network of ex-tenants and current tenants and try to encourage them to go to those events. So with organisations like Workspace, it's always adapting to whatever the local council needs, and that is very different from council to council. Are we any good? Oh, I think we're terrific, but I'm biased. In 2010, we were awarded the Australian Business Incubator of the Year. They haven't had any of those awards since, so I'm not sure what that means. But in 2011, we were also finalists in the International Incubator of the Year. I was lucky enough to go to America for those presentations and got to see firsthand how business incubators fit into the American business structure as opposed to Australia, and I can tell you they're very, very different. And we've been voted one of the top 10 incubators in the world, which I don't think is too bad a feat for a micro business from Central Victoria. The future, Workspace is happy to work with any council about creating new sites. Sometimes it's not about Workspace running a site or creating a site, it's about working with existing people within that community who would like to do that and sharing the knowledge and the information that we have with them. So the one thing I want all of you to take away from my talk is that there are organisations like Workspace out there that are only too happy to work with councils in whatever capacity that might be. Sometimes it can be on a very small scale, sometimes it can be on a very large scale, but we are there and we are willing to do it. Thank you.